Hi, everyone. Welcome to your last week of online speech and your last speech. I wanted to just do a quick video to overview the components of this final speech. So I am going to share my screen and pull up the assignment. And this last speech does not require an audience. So as you did with speech one, you can simply record yourself and upload that video or recording to the discussion board. That will be due Thursday by midnight. If you can get it up sooner than that, that would be great. I am asking for a pretty quick turnaround of peer reviews on this by Friday. I know that's short. I'm not asking for a ton. You don't have to fill out a form, just a compliment and suggestion, kind words as we enter the end of our term together, and just watch two speeches by your peers. Grades are due the following Monday when classes end, so they're due the 22nd. So there's a relatively short turnaround for getting everything graded and getting those grades submitted. So in this final speech, you are paying tribute to someone who has been influential or important or inspirational in your life. And the most heartfelt speeches are usually about people that we personally know, that we have personal connections to, so friends, family, mentors, and they are meant to uplift your community. They are meant to make us appreciate the positive influences in our lives. Think about when you've gone to a funeral or a wedding and you hear toasts or you hear eulogies. They are often meant to make us remember the important parts of being human, the things that we respect and admire, the characteristics such as compassion and humility and courage that make human beings admirable. This is not to say that you can't do someone famous, although it's probably not going to hit quite as heartfelt. If you do someone famous, you probably will need to do some research and therefore some oral citations and a bibliography. So that's why I kind of steer you towards doing people that you actually know. Unlike your previous two speeches, you are writing this out in a manuscript, which means that you're just writing it out in essay format. You don't need to label with Roman numerals as you would like in the Monroe's motivated sequence outline. I am asking that you label your intro, your thesis within that intro, body, and conclusion. So just 4 headings there. And then I would like that you use figurative language. I have posted a short video from the Khan Academy on what figurative language is. It's basically using a lot of comparisons, a lot of non-literal phrases that help us to see, hear, and feel what it's like to be around the person that you're paying tribute to. So similes, metaphors, alliteration, repetition, oxymorons, hyperbole, things you've probably heard and hear on a somewhat regular basis when you listen to music or watch television or read fiction, but that we don't necessarily pay attention to or deliberately do in our day-to-day writing. Those types of figurative language are meant to beautify an occasion, and that is one of the reasons why you're reading your speech, so that after you've carefully thought about the language that you want to use, that you are able to remain true to that language. Oftentimes in special occasions like eulogies or the State of the State address, the speaker is reading it so that they don't go off script, so that the careful attention and time that they've taken to write the speech is accurate and true. So even though you are reading the speech, I want you to deliver it as though you weren't. And so when you write your manuscript, I encourage you to increase your font so that you can easily see it. I usually say somewhere between 14 and even 22 point font is good. Increase the spacing between your sentences. Typical essays are written in double spacing, but I've done tribute speeches where I've spaced it out, 3 or 4 rather than just double spaced. Indent your margins a little bit. Again, the idea is that you just see short phrases on each line, and that helps you not have to take in a chunk of text to remember as you look up at your video camera, because your tribute manuscript will likely be on your screen or down in front of you, but you need to be making that consistent contact with your audience. So bump up your fonts, shorten your margins, increase the spacing between your lines so that it's easy for you to read. And again, just because you're reading it doesn't mean when you record it should be the first time you've read it aloud. Read it aloud, practice it several times so that you get comfortable with the cadence of it. Often these speeches involve more emotional stories, and your emotions and your expressions should match what you're talking about. So if you're remembering a funny story that is embarrassing, you can kind of grin. But if you're remembering something sad or tragic, that your facial expressions reflect that. You don't need to overact, but your tone and your gestures should match what's happening in the actual speech. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? Visual aid. So you are required to use a visual aid for this last speech. And it can be as simple as you're going to show a picture of, here's my mom right here. So you're going to show a picture, you hold it up for your audience. You could do that. It could be an object. So maybe she gave me a pendant when I graduated from college. I could show the audience that. Conversely, you could also put together a PowerPoint and share your screen as you're speaking. I have done that for tribute speeches before too, or just, pop up a picture from social media that you want to share with your audience. So usually it's a picture of the person you're paying tribute to so that we can actually see them, but you're using your words and your stories to help us really understand what that person is like. The other thing I would say is to be cautious of overusing things like always and never and very. These are phrases we tend to rely on to describe people who have been there for us always, but always is not a specific descriptor. It is not telling us that when I was stranded in the rain with a flat tire, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I didn't know who to call, I called my best friend and she came. When I had a bat in my house, and I've had multiple bats in my house. When I had a bat in my house and it was right over my front door and I didn't know what to do, I called my best friend, Sarah, and she brought her toddler over with a racket and a net, and she got it out of my house because I was basically paralyzed. So telling stories that help us remember, that touch us in some way, and really help us understand the person you're paying tribute to. Last thing, unfortunately, there are going to be people who don't have a lot of positive influences in their lives. And if that is the case for you, you are welcome to do a tribute speech to someone who has taught you what you don't want to be. So let's say you had a negative parental figure in your life. You had a best friend who stabbed you in the back. You had a coworker who was just terrible to work with. You can have a little bit of fun, get out some demons and trauma, and write that too. I've had students do that in a very funny and a very poignant way. So if that is the route you want to go, know that that's an option for you too. So that is your final speech. It's 2.5 to 4 minutes long. You are reading it from a manuscript that you're adjusting so that it's easy to see and to read. You do need to have some kind of visual aid, and turnaround is relatively short. So post by Thursday, give a couple compliments, suggestions to classmates by Friday. Grades will be due and posted by the 22nd of August. I am still grading your speech too. I'm sorry, I've been traveling. Things have been a little hectic and I have several days of required meetings that I have to attend at the early part of this week. So everything's a little tight, everything's a little behind. My apologies, they will get graded. And thank you for your patience. If you have questions, as always, please don't hesitate to ask, and I look forward to watching those final speeches. Thanks, everybody.